Hello and welcome to today's session. In today's session, we have an assignment using APIs and more into integration. In today's assignment, we would like to see the exchange rates. In other words, somebody wants to enter an amount in US dollars, and they want to find out the exact exchange rate as of this moment, but we don't have that in Salesforce. There's actually websites or web portals that or web services that have that information. I want to be able to connect to them and get that data real time into Salesforce. So anytime I have an opportunity, I want to be able to enter that amount of the opportunity, let's say in US dollars, like exchange rate, it goes out to that web service, gets the conversion rate and comes back and says, this is the equivalent of so many Swedish or European euros or Mexican pesos or Saudi reals. So where do I start? We start by going on our browser and searching for exchange rates. Exchange rate APIs. So we're going to find that there's a few of them. One of them is exchange rates API.io. Perfect. Now that I have this link, I can create or get my API. So we're going to go ahead and click get API key, and they have a free membership. So I can get a free plan and set up my account. Once you fill that information, you get a free account. Our account is going to give us two pieces of information: the URL, where we can connect to get the exchange rate, and an API access key, which is basically our own username and password, for lack of a better explanation. So I want to make sure before I even go into Salesforce that this actually works. So I'm going to keep that URL that they gave me. I'm going to add a question mark. And then I'm going to append the access key to it. Just remove any spaces. So it's one long string. And if this works, so the URL, question mark, the access key without no spaces, and then my key, and I go to a browser and I add it in there, I should be able to have a successful connection that shows me some exchange rates. Sure enough, success is true. And here are some different exchange rates for different currencies. So yes, my login information is correct. So now I have an account with that web service that allows me to log in on their website, on their portal, to see the exchange rate. However, I want to be able to do that in Salesforce. A couple of steps. Step number one is Salesforce does not know that that URL exists. It does not know about API exchange rates, API.exchange rates, API.io. Doesn't know that this exists. So first I need to go into Salesforce, setup, and add a remote site. Basically saying, hey, I need you to acknowledge this exists. We need to access it. So I'm going to type in remote site settings, which is under security, remote site settings under security, and add that URL. So I'm going to click on new remote site. I'm going to add, I can name it whatever. So I'm just going to name it exchange_rate. And then I'm going to add the website, which is the API.exchange_rates API.io. HTTP API.exchange_rates API.io. And then I'm going to click save. So now I have access to this URL. Next is where I need to create a class, an Epics class that allows me to call it and be able to get that conversion rate from within Salesforce. So I'm going to click on Setup, Developer Console. And from in here, we're going to click New Epics class. Assuming that we haven't created anything in Epics before, we already have the code on the page on Lovely Course. So we're simply going to copy and paste it. So this is the class that we're using. It's called Convert Exchange Rates. So we're just going to copy the name of the class, Convert Exchange Rates, into the name of the class and click OK. Now in future sessions, we're going to explain the code a little bit more. For now, we're just going to keep it very basic. So you're going to remove whatever's in there and just copy and paste whatever we have code-wise and paste it in here. So we're just going to paste the entire code that we have in here. And it's going to look something like this. It's going to be public class, convert exchange rates. Until we're able to read epochs, just let's focus on a couple of things. That this is the name of the class. This is the parameter. This is what we're going to pass, the amount that we're going to pass in dollar. So in this case, we're going to get the Indian rupee conversion rate of that. We're going to be calling this, and we're logging through our access key, and it's going to return that value back to us. Okay, so now comes the next point, which is, well, we need to save it. If there's no problems, then we're good to go. So we're going to click save. If there's any error messages, it will show me a problem there. There's no problems, it's all saved. So now I want to run it. I want to see if I can get that conversion rate. So the command is going to be the class name dot the parameter USD to INR, and then between brackets we're going to enter a value. Let's say we want to try 285. So we're just going to go back to our console. We're going to click on debug, open execute anonymous window, check open log, and again it's the name of the class, convert exchange rates dot the parameter, which is USD to INR, and between brackets we're going to pass the amount that we want to get converted. We're going to click execute. If it works, we should get a lot of information. We don't care about most of it at this point, but we want to see what we sent and what we received back. So we're going to click execute. Now it's sending in this information from the class to that URL. Web service is bringing that information, a lot of data. We just want to see the executable part of it for now. You can see there's a lot of information. We're going to explain this in a little bit more detail, what all of those are, methods and callouts and things. But if we scroll down, you're going to see that, okay, so this is the US rate, this is the INR rate, this is what the conversion rate is, this is when it ran it, what date, what time, all that information's in there. So we successfully were able to get it. So anytime if I have a button and I call that class, or I have a process automation and I click on it and I call that class and I put an amount, it's going to convert it and get me back. And we've tested it and it's successful. In the next session, we're going to explain the code in a little bit more detail, but at least we see how the API works successfully. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you joining us in this session.
Thank you for joining us in today's session. We hope that you enjoyed it, and we'd like to invite you to a lot of our free sessions. Simply visit our website at kinseytech.com/events. Thank you again.